What up, man? How you doing? My name is Salvador Briggman, if you don't already know, and if you do, welcome back to this channel. On this channel, we really try to bring an element of clarity into launching a product, into developing a new income stream, into making money online, into actually doing a crowdfunding campaign to be able to get the funding that you need in order to move forward in this area of your life, to build a brand from scratch, to ethically impact the world for the positive, to do something good for the planet or for the world, and to bring your idea into reality. And one of the big gaps when it comes to doing that is really understanding what you gotta do from more of a technical or a strategic standpoint. And that's why in today's video, I wanna talk about what actually happens if your campaign on Kickstarter is overfunded. So obviously Kickstarter is one of the top crowdfunding platforms that's out there. So if you're launching a Kickstarter campaign, listen up, tune into this video, because we'll be talking about what happens when your campaign gets overfunded and some of the things you need to think about so that you don't fall into a pit of despair and very negative things happen when you actually go live with that project. All right, man, let's get into this. Wherever you are hailing in, you could be in the United States. I started my journey when it comes to this industry living in New York City, where I actually started my website, crowdcrux.com. I was actually going to school in George Washington, in Washington, D.C., moved down to New York to follow a girl there, and ended up actually building my business there in New York, and then moved to Miami after the pandemic. And I also love to travel the world at the same time. So whether you are 18 years old, 20 years old, you're 35, you're 65, whatever it is, I hope that you enjoyed today's video and you get clarity around what happens when you actually launch a campaign and it gets overfunded. So I'm first gonna break down sort of the technical aspect of like what actually happens, right? I'm sort of like that guide who's already been up the mountain and I'm telling you like, okay, if you go down this path or go down this trail, this is what's going to await you, right, on the other side. So first we'll talk about more technically. Second, we'll talk about some of the considerations which you need to be aware of should this event actually happen. And we'll sort of finish off with a bit of a bigger vision when it comes to launching this Kickstarter campaign and what that means when it comes to being overfunded and setting that funding goal. So first of all, from a technical perspective, there's that Buddhist saying, I don't know if it's Buddhist, I think it's Buddhist, where they say the cup runneth over, right? Where you have a beautiful cup, which is in front of you, maybe you're doing some meditation or you're some mindfulness, and the cup is running over, right? That's really what it feels like when you're doing a Kickstarter campaign launch. You can actually listen to guests who have come on my podcast, the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. We've had over 400 guests who have come on and shared what's working behind the scenes to get funding for their project. And many of them have a wildly overfunded Kickstarter campaign where they maybe set a goal of like $20,000 and they ended up raising $500,000 on Kickstarter. So this is, first of all, a phenomenon which happens again and again and again. So it's great that you're watching this video. From a technical perspective, it really depends on how close you are to your campaign finishing. So let's just say you're running a campaign for 30 days, right? That clock is ticking and maybe your campaign ends and there's still 5 days to go. That's awesome, right? The campaign is overfunded. When that happens and you're live and your campaign is overfunded, from a technical perspective, there's nothing that really changes in the behind the scenes or the dashboard when it comes to running a Kickstarter campaign. All it is an outward perceptual shift. That's a really big word. Let me try to make that a little bit easier because we're demystifying this for you, right? So internally, in your dashboard, if you're looking at the Kickstarter on your phone, you're getting all these notifications, which is really fun and exciting, right? Nothing really happens that you gotta do or change. Your campaign just looks overfunded. It's obviously gone above the funding amount. Now, from an outward perspective, from a marketing perspective, what happens? People tend to get more excited about your project because it's moving forward. Remember, with the Kickstarter campaign, you need to hit or exceed your funding goal in order to actually come to life with this product or this project. So until you hit that goal, your backers are thinking like, maybe this is gonna happen, but maybe not. Once the campaign is funded, they get really excited because this is moving forward. This is actually going to exist in the world, whether it's a physical product, an innovation, a gadget, a gizmo, a tabletop game, whatever it is, it's moving forward with production. So it's very exciting, and that might cause them to share the campaign like crazy. In addition, the other cool thing that happens with this is again a very big jargon term, is called social proof, which is that when people start funding your campaign and you get overfunded, other people that are browsing on Kickstarter, they see that. They see you are a trending campaign. And more importantly, when they come to the project, they feel like it's legitimate, right? Versus if you only have like 10% that's funded, they might come to that and be like, is this a legitimate project? I don't know. I don't want to spend my time to watch the video. Hey, look at this one. This one's overfunded by 200%. I'm really curious what is taking off here. So it creates excitement, and it also causes someone's attention to naturally gravitate to those projects which are overfunded. So as a result, there's that saying that like the winners keep on winning, right? And I love to be a winner in every area of my life, whether that is business or fitness or whatever area it is that I'm going after. I am committed to being a winner. I'm sure as you are as well. Because if you are winning, it's so much easier to keep winning, right? So you tend to have a campaign when it's been overfunded to very easily start to get even more and more funding, improving the conversion rates on the page. And that's why you see those campaigns in my podcast that have raised like 10 times their goal on Kickstarter. Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillment is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillment today. Link in the description. So we answered the first component, which is kind of what happens technically for the creator and also from a perceptual shift when it comes to the backer. The next thing I really want to talk more about is like the logistics. What actually happens from more of a logistical perspective, right? Because after the campaign is done, you can't just, fly this cash to the Bahamas and sip margaritas and tell your wife, hey, I'll be back in a week, right? And go and enjoy life on an island and just lay out there in the sun with this big pile of money. Unfortunately, I think you and I are kind of built in a more of like an ethical fashion, and we actually want to bring products into the world. We actually want to, have a dent that we cause in the universe for the positive. We want to make impact and change when it comes to our lives. So we can't do that, right? We just ethically cannot do that. What you have to do is you have to go out there and you have to fulfill your Kickstarter and your Indiegogo campaign rewards. So what does that mean? That means that, let's just say you had a $20,000 goal, you end up raising $250,000, right, when it comes to your campaign. Specifically, if you follow what I teach with my book, The Kickstarter Launch Formula, or what I teach in terms of my individual one-on-one coaching calls, if you follow what I mentioned, you will become overfunded, virtually guaranteed, if you follow the steps which I've outlined. And if that happens, you then have to fulfill all of those rewards which you are promising your Kickstarter backers. So from a logistical perspective, being overfunded means that, number one, you do have more funding, but you might need another batch of inventory in order to fulfill those actual Kickstarter rewards, right? If you're only planning for, let's just say like 500 backers and you got 5,000 backers, all of a sudden you might need more inventory to ship out to those backers to be able to actually fulfill your rewards. But you got the cash to do so, right? Which is pretty exciting. So when it comes to that logistical perspective, this is typically when I recommend either getting a pledge manager tool involved in this to make it much easier to handle this. Kickstarter is evolving a lot internally when it comes to their technology as well, when helping with pledge management. In addition, you should probably work at this point in time with a fulfillment company who can help coordinate all that shipping, so you have to do it on your own and you can worry about one less hassle. Another logistical component that you might want to be aware of is that if you are, for example, in the tabletop game category or you're in a very specific category on Kickstarter, one of the hallmark marketing components is doing things like add-ons, doing things like stretch goals, right? And maybe because you've gotten to a certain funding milestone, you've unlocked a stretch goal for your backers. And in that case, your cost structure going into the campaign might change. This is a very boring time, but also a great opportunity to pull out that Excel spreadsheet and really do the math behind that, right? Because if you hit that stretch goal, you might then need to really rethink enhancing the project and getting more aware of where that funding is going to go. So whenever I'm doing, for example, an individual coaching session or even with my long-term coaching students, I do recommend they do a financial projection. I know it's a very fancy term that can help you when it comes to doing that, but you really need to do a financial projection projection, and I would recommend creating at least 3 different cases. So one maybe is, hey, I only hit my goal. 2 is I get to like 2x or 3x. And then 3 is if I get really overfunded, how is that going to impact my costs? And if I'm doing things like stretch goals, how is that going to impact the overall financial structure when it comes to the project? At this point in time, if you would like help when it comes to launching your Kickstarter campaign, if you really want to understand what you got to do from an A to Z perspective, everything going into that launch, and you want help having someone hold your hand, having a mentor on your side, so that way you don't, number one, fall into any kind of pits of despair going out there with this launch. You don't make any mistakes and you fumble the ball, even if you are winning when it comes to this project. Make sure you go down below and book an individual coaching call with me. These are intensive coaching calls that are really designed for students who are serious about getting results. Maybe you've been thinking about this for years when it comes to your project. Maybe this is not even your first campaign, but your second or your third. And maybe, for example, you're not even sold yet on doing the Kickstarter platform. Maybe you want to do Indiegogo or you're thinking about another platform. Regardless of what it is, I've been able to help thousands of students globally get their campaigns launched through my individual intensive one-off coaching calls. This is something that I've always wanted to do, which is make myself available to the community. And for those that are interested, you can also extend that into more of like a long-term coaching arrangement, or I do work on a selective basis individually with campaigns that I believe in and that my team is also enthusiastic about. So if you want to explore that option, go down below and fill out my form at the individual coaching call option at crowdcrux.com/coaching, and you can get your call scheduled ASAP. All right, man, this video is fun. Let's get to the final section, which is the vision. So the vision behind doing a Kickstarter campaign. I think a lot of beginners come into this process of crowdfunding and think, well, I thought I was just gonna get funding from the crowd and go out there and maybe launch this project. But I think that the vision is actually much, much bigger. And I always urge you, whether you consider yourself to be an inventor, an entrepreneur, a creative type, it's very important to always dream big, because more often than not, the students I talk to are always limiting themselves with what is possible when it comes to the power of the internet, the power of the crowd, and really using what's incredible, which is being able to go straight directly to the crowd, cutting out the middleman to get their actual dreams being brought into reality. So when it comes to this vision, this is how I would think about the vision. This is not just an experience for you, but it's actually an experience for your backers as well. And if you want to know kind of one secret, if you will, in terms of what's happening behind the scenes of these campaigns, specifically 6- and 7-figure campaigns, if you want to know just a little bit that's happening behind the scenes, I'll tell you something. Success is engineered. What do I mean by that? When I say success is engineered, what I mean is that when someone is blowing past their goal, and maybe they're getting 5 or 10x, and they're raising that amount as compared to what their goal is on Kickstarter, maybe that's actually not so random. Maybe it's even a little bit planned out. So really think about some of the points that I made in this video. And if you're having a larger vision, this vision should not just be about you and what you want, but it's the vision of the experience that you're giving the community as they're going through your campaign launch experience, and they're helping you get funded. And really that vision as well when it comes to what happens afterwards, and you deliver all those perks and those rewards to your backers. How are you going to then bring that as an element into your business? So think a little bit about the vision, but if I could leave you with anything, what I talk about in the Kickstarter launch formula is the fact that there is a paint by numbers formula behind these campaigns. Do your homework, become a student of crowdfunding, because if you do, you will be able to pull back the curtain and really see what's happening behind these mega campaign launches. And like I say, success most often is engineered. So if you want to learn more about that and really want to understand what's happening behind these major projects, you want to build the foundation for your campaign, and you want to launch this right, go down below and book an individual coaching call with me, and we can talk more about the vision for your campaign and also that you're really trying to deliver when it comes to your backers. If nothing else, what I would say is that when it comes to building this vision, a really powerful and compelling vision is not just about something you articulate with some slides or a video even, or even that you're just telling people at a cocktail party. What a really great vision does is it pulls everyone towards it, because it's the future that they want to experience and be a part of. So if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. Join me on my mission to enlighten the world, to demystify not only crowdfunding, but other forms of building income streams, of helping you get and build wealth online. Come down below and hit that subscribe button so you can become a member of my community when it comes to demystifying success for the world. Hope you enjoyed this video. My name is Sal, and I will see you next time.